All right, team, we are live on the tubes of you. It's the YouTube. All right, so I'm going to check in with you on a few different things today. The big thing today was, of course, the executive order on crypto from Biden. Everyone was expecting this. I called this on Twitter. It's going to be a catalyst for us to go higher. There's a couple things in there I want to look at. I want to show you. And a lot of people are going to say, hey, it's not as good as it sounds. It's not as good as it looks. It's actually going to take us in the wrong direction. Ultimately, they're going to say lots of different things. And there will be bumps along the way. Trust me, there's going to be. But ultimately, if you're a Bitcoin maxi, if you are someone who wants to see Bitcoin go higher, then we have to have regulation. Regulation opens up the Wall Street floodgates. And that's what is currently closed. Although there's one play right now, which I'm currently in, huge. I am in just absolutely huge on. And we'll talk about that one. We have a couple trades going right now that we'll look at as well. But here's the Bitcoin chart. Let's start right there. So here's the big move. This happened early in the morning. I believe it was around midnight, I think, PST. And anyway, we saw this big move come as the notes from the EO were leaked by one of Janet Yellen's staffers. And so the market immediately priced in like 10% for Bitcoin, which I think this is crazy. We should have seen a 10K candle today off of what has happened, because the thought was, that Biden was going to say something along the lines that, or put something out there like, hey, we have to be very careful with this. Hey, it's being a lot of illegal activities going on with this stuff. We've got to really cramp down on it, and it's endangering, the United States' security threat. All of those things could have been there. And so if that was priced in, how do we only get a 10% pump? That some people would say is concerning. There's also a little, if you see here as we're reaching this stop, this is just a 1 hour chart. There's a little bit of this going on, which, usually when on the other side, you want to see this. So up here, you don't want to see that. But we'll see. Right now, this is holding for the moment. We'll see what happens. I mean, ultimately, let's zoom out, right? I mean, here's the thing. We're going to zoom out on Bitcoin. I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen next. We're going to look at what I think is the best play on all of this, and what clearly Wall Street thinks is the best play as well. Here's our channel. Okay, that's the channel. It's a bullish channel. We're still in it. We're toward the bottom range of it, but just be honest with ourselves. It's not, it doesn't look great, but we are making higher lows. I mean, there's a low. There's a higher low. Here's a higher low. So that is happening. Okay. And so, yeah, it's been kind of ugly for a while, because we have this like gigantic, bear flag here. But there's so much stuff that's so good about this. Let's take a look at a couple of things. First of all, okay, so Senator Loomis, she's the one she's actually writing a bill she's going to bring forth to the Senate, to Congress, integrating crypto and Bitcoin into the whole picture, the whole financial picture. So that is something that is coming in the days to come. And that's why I retweeted that one. Watch this documentary, by the way. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm hearing that it basically lays out what's really going on over there. I'm not even going to say what it is for fear of being blocked. But here's one chart I do want you to see, because if you're a Bitcoin investor, you should really be a long-term investor. You really should. I mean, if you're going to trade something like as volatile as Bitcoin, good luck to you. But here's what's very interesting about this. And by the way, this is crypto, CRIPTO, Sahintas, SAHINTAS, in case you can't tell. Incredible. Oh, here it is over here. Incredible TA from this individual. Now, what they're showing us here, and I'm not a big believer that, the last cycles are going to repeat themselves exactly. I'm really not. But some things are very interesting. Some things are very interesting to look at. Look at this crypto cycle. It's basically showing you that in each of the epochs, which are 4-year periods, which are in the middle of one right now, or close to the middle of one right now, there's the same kind of activity that takes place. You hit this exponential curve right here on the high side, the far left. That's what these blue dots are, is hitting the top of that. And then the red dots, you come down to the bottom of it. Okay, and this is essentially the log curve for Bitcoin, and the models that have been created for essentially the deflationary elements of it based on a certain adoption rate. If you look at this, though, you see the euphoria hits, You hit this top end, and then you always peel back and come to the bottom end. And that's happened every cycle. What's hasn't happened though here is we have not hit that euphoria level yet. We haven't hit it yet. And the expectation is that you hit that first and then you bottom. We haven't gone there yet. So it feels like there should be more upside here. It doesn't mean there will be, but just looking at this, that kind of makes you think, gosh, it does feel like we should have a lot more upside here. I mean, the use case for Bitcoin has been clearly displayed all across the globe, from government shutting down bank accounts and, all the sanctions that are going on right now. All the things that people who have been telling me about Bitcoin for years were like, this is why you need to have Bitcoin. All of those things have been happening. So for us Bitcoin investors, this really does look pretty amazing. And it feels like we should have something like this. Now, will we hit 100K this year? I don't know. But I will tell you what I do think is going on right now for sure. And I should have pulled this up already. I apologize. GBTC NAV premium chart. There we go. I believe this will get it to us. So the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And this is, let's see here. Is this the one we want? Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is the one security. It's been traded, GBTC. You've been able to buy this for a long time, just through your regular retirement account. It's because it's a trust that owns physical Bitcoin. So the idea is every 1,000 shares of this equal 1 Bitcoin. And it's basically set up to be an ETF. They have an ETF application in. If the ETF application gets approved, you'll almost immediately see the value go up to NAV, what the actual value is. As you can see right now, it's trading at a 28.7% discount. Can you see that? Am I in the way? Let me get myself out of the way here. 28.7% discount. Now, why? Why would that be? Why would there be such a discount? Look how far away it is from the NAV, which is the actual value of the Bitcoins that it has. Well, because there's other things you could do. If you were going to, this is a trust, it's not an ETF, so it doesn't have to, follow anything exactly. You could buy MicroStrategy, who has a huge exposure to Bitcoin, and you also get a nice, recurring revenue technology business attached to it as well. There's been tons of money that's gone into, if you really want to buy Bitcoin, you can just buy Bitcoin. You don't have to pay a 2% management fee to the Grayscale guys. So there's lots of reasons why it's trading at a discount. But what's interesting about it is, why are so many huge holders? Is it going to show us on here? Premium NAV, sponsor financial content. Let's do this. Sorry, didn't have this prepared. GBTC top holders. Just stock major holders. Okay. And this should very easily, I should have had this up. I'm sorry. Okay. So ARK obviously has a ton of this. Look at that. Rothschild Investment Corporation. Interesting, yeah? We also know that, here's your mutual fund holders. Morgan Stanley has a ton. Look at how much look at all these different funds. So this Morgan Stanley fund has 3.6 million shares. This Morgan Stanley fund has 1.5 million shares. Why are all of these funds, especially Morgan Stanley, ARK, why are some of these huge funds buying all this stuff? Well, this is the reason right here, because of the discount. You're getting a huge discount. If this turned into an ETF tomorrow, based on the price of 42,000 right now, this would go from 28 to 42 just like that, which is a 50% increase. That is a 50% increase just like that. So if you were in the know, if you knew that were, likely to happen eventually, what an incredible investment opportunity, yeah? Right? If you think, well, hey, I have the upside of Bitcoin in general, which can be parabolic and huge, but I have some protection on the downside that, number one, this thing's already trading at a discount. So it's harder for that to increase, although it has been, which is just mind-boggling to me. It has been. But I also have this potential upside, even if, Bitcoin doesn't go anywhere, that protects my downside. And this is the reason why I believe we're seeing, these big institutions purchase GBTC hand over fist, particularly Morgan Stanley, right? Morgan Stanley, look at all these different funds. They're buying tons and tons and tons of shares of this stuff. It's wild. So because of that, you're starting to see that. Now, if we do it in the GBTC, the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF application is in, and that's the reason why today the executive order on cryptocurrencies, I think, is such a big deal. The SEC could not and has not been able to approve an ETF because they have been concerned. They don't really have clear guidance on what to do. This is step one to get that guidance. Once they have guidance, they can allow the ETFs. They can unleash Wall Street on this thing, and it is going to get cray, and it's going to get cray quick. That's my guess. Now, whether this happens over the course of the next, 5-6 months, or maybe it takes a year, I'm not sure. It's not gonna move super fast. It is the government we're talking about, but it's going in the right direction. It's going in the direction of adoption. It's going in the direction of regulatory clarity. It's going in the direction that you want it to go in if you are betting on Bitcoin $1 million or $2 million. And even if you just get the ETF, if you're in heavy, and I'm so long GBTC. I mean, it's almost painful how long I am GBTC. If you were to look at my retirement account, if you were to look at it as a pie chart, it would just look like a solid colored circle full of GBTC, okay? And it's not just because I believe in Bitcoin, it's also because of this discount right here, which is bonkers to me. Now, it's a 28% discount, but when you look at the upside, remember the math doesn't mean that you're going to get 28% upside. You have to actually do the math. The math would be we're at 28 right now. At 42,000, this should be 42. So that's $14. 14 is half of 28. That's a 50% upside. So it's not just a 28% upside. That's how much it's at a discount. Your actual upside is almost double that, 50%. So there's huge upside there that could be unleashed any day. Just any day you could wake up and just be like, damn! Oh man, I can't wait for that day. And I just feel like that day is coming. And that's why I've invested in it. Now, whether it will or not, we don't know. Of course we don't know. But it sure seems to make a lot of sense why it would, and why this particular executive order is going to help us get there sooner rather than later. So I would suggest checking out this link if you're interested in this stuff at all. You can listen to this dingbat here talk about it as well if you can stand it. And then one thing I wanted to point out, which I think is really interesting, as I was reading this. Let's see, where is it? Illicit activity. That was one of the things. So this is the thing I expected them to. This is where my concerns were, is that they were going to continue to beat this in, right? It's what everyone has thought of. I thought of this for a long time. Oh, Bitcoin, yeah, it's some dark web thing where people exchange money, and it's basically one criminal giving money to another criminal. They really had me believe in that. So I know a lot of people still believe that. And the truth is, what's really interesting here, it says, I love how they say proponents of crypto say, say it's highly difficult. Get out of here. Highly difficult for funds to be laundered through digital currency. However, as all transactions are kept public on an unchangeable record-keeping system known as the blockchain. Isn't that amazing? This is so amazing to me. I love this so much. And this is the reason why I think Bitcoin wins. Now, other cryptos may have trouble. They may go after one. And keep in mind that there's bodies buried along the trail of success, right? They may go after Ethereum. They may go after something else. You can't really go after Bitcoin. I don't think they're going to go after Ethereum, by the way. But they may pick one, maybe the one that's had the most fraud complaints or something like that. There's a lot of fraudulent stuff out there. Believe me, we need this. I have a buddy who got scammed out of 40 grand. Crypto scam. Smart guy. It's happening. So yeah, they're right to want to put something in place to help protect. And there's going to be more hoops to jump through to open an account. There's probably going to be more hoops to jump through to purchase an actual Bitcoin. I don't know. They're going to want tax reporting. All that stuff is going to get legitimized. I think it's good. People try to get loans from us. I'm a loan guy, right? We do home loans, help people refi, help people buy. You know that. And people who have crypto, sometimes it's difficult to validate assets and use it for down payment and do all that different stuff. This right here is the key. This is the key. And it's particularly with Bitcoin. I don't know how it works with every other crypto. Get out of here. Does this thing just have to be there? Because essentially crypto, well, I'm going to say Bitcoin particularly, there is no good way to use it for illicit activity. There's no good way to use it in a fashion in which you want to stay a secret, because it does leave a public paper trail. Okay, it may not leave a paper trail right to you, but if you found some dingbat who was like, hey, let me send you my Bitcoin and then you give me cash, eventually they would get to that dingbat. And that person's going to finger you out in a lineup. Like, there's just no way to hide. And that's the reason why I think this is going to work, because, and here's the other one, climate change. So there's two ways they could attack it, right? One is illicit activity, which that is very easy. Like on a Senate floor, very easy for anyone to come and testify and explain how it works and go, look, it's not really possible. You know, you can't really use this for that because it's everything. It's an open ledger. You can't use it for that. The climate change issue, which is based around the energy consumption, that is now going to be the new. I think they're going to leave the illicit activity one alone for the most part. They're really going to go after the climate change. They're going to put in regulations for the miners to make it more difficult to mine, make them go through a process, make them go through some sort of sustainability survey, something like that. I could totally see that happening. And that will cause problems for a little while. It will cause some of those, but they'll probably have a certain amount of time to comply. I imagine the miners will figure it out. That's my guess. The miners will figure it out and it'll be all good. But, that's going to be the thing that they're going to really, really point at. So, and that's one thing where, you have to have a discussion about it, because you do need power for Bitcoin. But if you look at like what they're doing in El Salvador with, using energy that's already just burn off, those kids who, I think it was ConocoPhillips, that they took the burn off gas and they turned it into power and used it to mine Bitcoin and made millions of dollars. There's all kinds of opportunities to use already existing power that is happening naturally to mine Bitcoin. And it would be great if we did more of that. And I think this will help make that happen, not just here in the States, but worldwide it's happening. Everyone who's got runoff power is looking at El Salvador going, wait a minute, they're just printing cash with their runoff power? What? There's going to be companies that are created that actually help countries, cities, municipalities do that. Go, hey, you guys here at this plant that you work at, you got all this steam coming out of a stack over here. We're going to take that steam and turn it into money. There's going to be companies that do that. The innovation and the amount of movement that's going to take place once there's regulatory clarity, once it's no longer a question mark about what's going on here. Once we're there, you're going to see all kinds of innovation. You're going to see all kinds of really good stuff. But in the meantime, we still have to kind of fight the good fight. So just know what's going on with that. GBTC, very interesting. Let's take a quick look here. So I want you to look at that. This was really funny to me. I just wanted to throw this in there for you guys. This was yesterday, okay, when oil was spiking. Russia warns of oil $300, right? And I've told you many times that a lot of these articles are what we would call advertorial. They are not editorial. And I would argue, and this one just screamed to me as though it were some sort of advertorial article, even though it may not technically. Maybe they did say this, but I don't know. I can't translate Russian. But what an interesting headline to make the day that oil actually moons, right, at $120 plus, giving people the idea that it's going to continue to go higher. And then today it cratered. Where did we end up today? Down to 110. So today it was down like 10%. Oil drops 12% for worst day since November. So I'm short oil, as you know. We're actually double short oil. We actually have a call on an ETF that is double short oil. And so that did extremely well today. And this is not a victory lap, because this is far from over. There's going to be more spikes in oil. It's not done. It's not done. So I don't know if it'll spike up enough for me to put more on to the position or not, but I'm ready and willing to do that. Gold finally got a break today. I know a lot of traders are telling me to short that today, and I don't have time to take all these trades, guys. But, you know, Bitcoin did really well. What's really interesting also here as we look at Bitcoin is, unlike normal, what I would call normal markets for crypto, when Bitcoin's up 8%, everything else is up more, usually, right? And when Bitcoin's down 8%, everything else is down more. Again, here we have another situation where Bitcoin's up 8%, and then the other major players here are all up, but not that much, not as much as Bitcoin. It's really, really taking the wheel, and I think that is terrific to see. So obviously we had markets up across the board today. Dow was up at 1.800 some points, 653. Okay, my NASDAQ short is still in the green. In fact, it's still up like 30%. So my short on the NASDAQ is, you know, again, it's puts on the QQQ at a strike of 345. And the whole point there was just protection, you know, portfolio protection. Want to make sure that I am protected if there's a crash scenario, because there is a potential everything bubble that I'm not going to get into too much, but I do want you to watch this video. Game of Trades. I know the guy may have an annoying voice, but check this out. It's about how junk bonds are essentially getting murdered, but it could signal a rally in stocks. It's possible. The last time they said that, though, stocks cratered. But the analysis and the information in there, I think, is worth taking a look at. So check that out. I'll include these links too, so you can keep an eye on the GBTC premium, which keeps increasing, which is completely nuts to me. But I think it's because it's one of those things that builds on itself, where people are in it, and then they see that it's not going up as much as Bitcoin is, so they just figure out how to sell that and then just go buy real Bitcoin. I think that's a lot of what this is. And once this matches, and once you have an ETF, now it's going to match more accurately, plus you're going to have less management fees as well. I think it's going to work extremely well for the investors once it's an ETF, which could happen any minute. So I'm going to give you that one and give you this one as well. And of course, if you guys need me, VA home loan specialist here in California. What are you doing, lady? Get out of here. Call, text me if you need to buy or refi. You can shoot me an email. I'm happy to help. Hopefully this stuff will be helpful for you, and I will see you again soon. Take care.